Okay, so I will start. So welcome everyone to this second workshop on project management, so organized by Girls in Tech and sponsored and hosted by the PMI team. Today we are two members of Girls in Tech who have participated to organize this event. So Anne-Sophie, who is the Chief Happiness Officer of Girls in Tech, and myself, so Laura, and I am an event manager. So we are very glad to welcome you to this second session of a three-part series workshop. So just to remind everyone, we had a first session on the basic of project management, which was held on September 1st, so 2 weeks ago. And that went really well. So basically, I'm just going to start introducing Girls in Tech very quickly. So in a nutshell, I wanted to share some figures overall on the overall market of Girls in Tech in Switzerland. So basically, we have 32,000 women working in the tech sector, and women only represent 15% of the workforce. So it's very few, and it's 3 times as less as the average across sector. So really have work to do on the tech sector. The average gender gap pay is 22% in tech, and if we compare to the figures in the US, it's 12%. Then in terms of women in board and women with responsibilities, we have 9% of women that are actually having a board position, and only 8% are directors. So same comment, we can see that it's very few. And last but not least, we see that 22% of STEM graduates are female. So we have mostly male graduates today in the tech sector. So that's why actually we have this organization and association, which is Girls in Tech. So basically, knowing this fact, our mission is to build an inclusive and diverse tech community by empowering women across all the industry and inspiring women through learning, networking opportunities like this workshop. So basically, in order to achieve that, we have 3 main pillars. So the first one is tech and career. So we organize an event and workshop like this workshop on project manager to make sure that people kind of getting together, getting to know each other, and really organize some networking around those workshops. Visibility of role models. So we publish a lot of story of women who inspire us and which we think that could be interesting for everyone. So either in their newsletter or on our website or even social media. And finally, we have the raising awareness pillar with the public speaking and social media content. So finally, if you're interested in that kind of topic, if you're interested in Girls in Tech, you can scan the QR code here in order to subscribe to our newsletter. And you can also follow us on our social media, so LinkedIn, Instagram, and medium.com. And now I will hand over to the PMI team for the workshop.
Fast here. So anyone want to introduce the Benoit? Okay.
Thank you, Laura, for the introduction and reminding everybody this is a 3 days workshop. The first one was about introduction about project management. Today we will discuss change and risk. And the next time we will discuss communication, leadership, and stakeholder management. The Project Management Institute is a 50-year-old global non-profit organization. In Switzerland, the chapters exist since 20 years, and we are a community of managers. We are a community of managers, and with passion, we share our knowledge to new project managers and experienced one. In the PMI chapter, most of us, we are certified PMP, project manager professionals, but there are other certifications. There are also many members that are not certified and are very welcome to all of our events. You are always welcome to join us. Next. And today, the 5 of us organize this workshop. So there is Kai, who is also a PMP. We are all PMP. She's a PhD in molecular biology. She has more than 10 years in managing scientific research projects in NGOs, notably. Social impact projects, education, programming, personal development. She has work experience in Switzerland, Hong Kong, in Kenya, and worked with a team of people between 5 and 20. Joanna is from USA. She's a senior project manager. She has more than 10 years in project management in different contexts, in public sectors, in IT, in information security. She worked in Americas, Europe, and Middle East in teams of 5 to 25 people. Saul is Mexican, he's senior project manager. He has 10 years also in project management in public and private sectors, also in NGOs, IT, sales, operations, teams between 5 and 25 people. Myself, I have a PhD in neuroscience. I have leading projects for 10 years now, and I see always fascinated by proteins. I'm still leading project in research, and I manage team between 5 and 10 people. And the speaker of the day,
I will introduce myself if you want. So.
And he will introduce himself.
So hello everyone, and welcome to this course. My name is Enrico, and I will be your facilitator today, your teacher. Just to be quick, there is no point to go through my CV. That I have a wide experience on projects on 3 continents and for really several years. So, but the point is that actually I'm here to share. So, what I would like you to be sure that actually in any moment you have a question, if you have a doubt, please raise your hands, unmute your microphone, and ask, because actually this is going to be more interesting for you, more challenging for me. So what I really want to have with you today, it's a real interaction and knowledge sharing. Okay. So to do so, let's just to warm you up a little bit. We can start immediately with Miro. If you remember, Miro is the board, the tool that we used on the previous session. So, but I would like to refresh it, because maybe it has not been that clear last week. So we can start immediately. If you see, we go on chat, we follow the link, then we enter in Miro, we go on the post-it, and what we'll ask you is to add your name and whatever you want to add, or whatever you expect or you want to do today in the board. So once again, let me do it on real time. So we go on Miro. Just a second. We open the chat. We follow the link.
Yes, the link is in the chat already.
Okay. So we should end up on Miro. This is the Miro board. So what you should do is simply to, it's going to take a little bit of time to take a post-it. You can move it, you can resize it, and write on it whatever you want. So that we are sure that all of you can use the tool. You can play with it a little bit there. You can do your test. You can change the color. If you want, you can draw it eventually. So that on the next workshop, you will be more comfortable in using this tool. Okay. Okay. I will let you 1 more minute so that you can test yourself, and then we'll continue the introduction and the slides. Okay. Shall we end here? 3, 2, 1. Oh. I will end here. Okay, thank you. Well done. So thanks to you all, and so we can continue with our presentation. So let's do a quick recap of the previous lesson. So maybe many of you may have not been here, or maybe some of you have forgotten it. So what have we covered last week, last 2 weeks? So actually we covered the beginning of the project management process. So the initiating and planning part. So, but what I would like you to keep in mind, so the basic, say, definition that I would like you to bring in your in your knowledge luggage is, first of all, what is a project? So, okay, I will repeat it because a project is a temporary endeavor that will bring a unique product or service. What does it mean? It means that actually it's not going to be a repetitive work, but is unique, and it's limited in time. It has a start and it has an end. But the limited in time does not necessarily mean short time. We may have projects that may last for years or even centuries eventually. So if you think about the Mars project or program, that's going to take a lot of years. Or if you think in the Middle Ages, the building of a cathedral was surely a project, and it could last for 2 centuries, for example. So this, just to let you know, a project is can lead to a deliverable that can be physical, like an object, or a service, so not physical. And this actually is the main thing that distinguishes the project from repetitive work, and something that is done by routine in an organization. Then we saw last time also who are the main, let's say, main actors in a project. We saw who is the sponsor. The sponsor is actually the champion of the project, the person that is committing the project to the project manager, to you. Then we saw who are the stakeholders, that actually are all the people that affect or might be affected by the project. And they may be internal or of the organization, and external. And then, okay, you have the project manager, the team members, suppliers, and so on. So just to be sure that you really, because actually what is a project should be tattooed on your skin, I mean, together with the actors of the project. Let's have a quick check of your knowledge. So I'm asking you just to warm you up a little bit and start to work together. Sorry. For you, which one of this is a project? The design of high fashion tailored dress that is flawless, the design of a seasonal fast fashion cheap cerulean dress, none of the above, or both. So if you want to use your chat, and so I will have a look at the chat and see, or if you want to raise your hands, I would like you to participate. So who's going to be the first one to answer? No one? What's the chat? Both. Anyone else? There is no. Okay, don't be shy. Okay, anyway, yes, it's correct. So they are both. Both of them are a project. So let's see the next one. So let's imagine that you have been chosen as and appointed as a wedding manager for the project. So let's see which one of, there's several questions. So who is the project manager in this case? Answers? Anyone else? You can also unmute your microphone and speak in case. Okay, that one was easy. So the project manager is you, the appointed as a wedding planner. So in this case, it's you, the project manager. And who is the sponsor? Let's make it a little bit tricky. Correct, the young couple. And okay, under which category we can classify the priest? So wow. Okay, that's correct. Okay, of course, the priest is a stakeholder because it can affect actually the wedding, and for sure it's an external stakeholder, so it will not take. Okay, it will do the ceremony, but it won't be really a part in the project. But for sure, he has to be advised and confirmed on the date of the wedding and so on. So okay, let's continue, Brian. So what we will see today, we will see the second part, so the execution of the project for sure, and then the monitoring and controlling part. What does it mean? Because as soon as you start to do things, so to develop your project and your and to do all the tasks that are you defined previously on the previous charter and the work breakdown structure, you will start immediately also to control that whatever is done is in line with the scope, with the cost, with the budget, and with the timeline minimum. So executing, what does it mean? You have to direct and manage whatever needed for your project to be done, and then start to manage and acquire your project team, and start to perform quality assurance and manage the communication with your stakeholders. Okay, and the controlling part is a lot of things, and we will see them all now, basically. So let's start. Change management. We spoke about this before, because actually we need to define and specify better about change management. Change management is actually all the project process that actually regulates the project and make sure that everything is in line with the plan, with the scope that have been required, and as not to be confused with the organizational change management. That is anyway still a project, but it has an impact. It's the organizational change management is a project itself, so it's something that will have an impact on the organization, and but it's a full project. In this case, today we'll speak about the change management within a project, so as a part of the activities to be done during a project. And what change management basically has to deal with the unexpected. So whatever task is needed in order to keep your project in line with the scope. If you remember the swing tree example, last time, we can see that actually there is a discrepancy between what the customer asked and what has been delivered. Okay, so what we need to do properly with change management is to make sure to do all the necessary changes in order to achieve the scope of the project, and basically in order to make the project work properly. So let's continue with this. I will not repeat the example, because actually I guess that you all know this kind of funny draws. So far we spoke about theories, planning on a general basis. So in a perfect world, with easy things to do, but now we need to dive into reality. So what happens if reality strikes? So let's make an example. No, a project has to deal with a change in general, and change brings with it a risk. So the risk is indeed is in the reality. So whatever you plan to do may lead to a risk, and the risk has to be managed. There are no projects without a risk, because if there is no risk, actually you won't need a project manager. And then depending on the say the kind of risk, you have to manage it in a proper way. To do so, I will make you an example. By example, the Challenger disaster that happened in '86. I will show you. This actually is an example of the risk management. Is one of the most common example on this. In few words, the space shuttle has been launched, and after a few seconds, it has been destroyed after 73 seconds, basically. So why it happened? It happened because the ceiling called O-rings, that actually it's quite a common ceiling that you may all have. Yes, I will arrive on it. I was looking at the chat. Okay, Valeria asked, can you clearly define risk management and change management? Change management is not only on risk. So whatever change management may affect everything that is needed to make a change in the project. Could be also in quality, could be also in budget, could be in human resources. So change management has to deal with everything that has to be changed in the project scope. So when you write a project, you have your project charter. You clearly define what has to be done and what has not to be done. So in this case, if this is frozen now, so this is the scope of the project and we continue to do this. If during the project something happened that may need to make a change in the, let's say, by example, the oil cost will increase, so you will have to ask for more money to the sponsor, because you won't be able to reach the milestones without increasing the budget. This is a change. It's a change in budget, financial change, and there is a procedure in order to request, so a formal procedure in order to request a change in the project scope and whatever in the project scope, basically. Same thing for quality. You discover that actually the supplier is delivering you bad quality bad quality components. So you may start to ask for a new bid, and maybe you will need an extension in time. So there is a formal procedure also to advise the sponsor and all the stakeholders that maybe the project will be delayed because of this. So this is the change. So whatever change happen in a project will pass through the change management processes. If we come back on the risk management is a sector. So it's only one of the 10, let's say, activities that can be done in a project. So it is smaller. But anyway, both of them, risk management and change management, has to do with the unexpected, so with the reality. So, but even quality has to do with the reality. So in this case, we're speaking about okay, we will come back on this in case you can ask again. And thanks for the question. And I invite you all to do the same. I mean, in case someone has a doubt, please ask. Okay. Is it? I think I answered on this. So coming back on the Challenger disaster, what is the point of this? The O-ring is basically a piece of rubber used to seal a fuel tank. It's very thin part. If you can see, it's here. So it looks insignificant. And at that time, it happened that the launch has been postponed several times due to the weather. And the engineers, okay, started to express the concern that the sealing won't resist with such cold temperature. So the rubber will be too rigid and let the fuel go out. But anyway, they launched the Challenger, and okay, as you can see on internet as well, the fuel basically went out, and the high pressure fuel with the high temperature exploded, and the Challenger was gone. Why this is a good example on risk management? Because if I ask you, what would you do as a project manager? Would you have authorized the launch or not? So maybe you can start to. Is anyone that wants to answer, or? Okay, I mean, from strictly speaking, from a project management point of view, I would have authorized the launch. Why? Because the O-ring risk was just one of the multiple risks that you are expected to manage in a project. And for sure here, actually, the engineers, they didn't have data to confirm clearly that, okay, it is going to be a real risk. So they had to balance, okay, as we said before, there is no project without risk, zero risk, it's impossible. So if you will expect to eliminate all the risk from a project, you will go nowhere. The time, the project will become longer and longer, and you will never be able to deliver the goods. So actually, what I want to say with this, actually the risk has to be managed, cannot be completely removed from a project, and it's up to you to decide and check if a risk is a serious one or not. So if you come back on the previous slide, let's say, what can I say? Basically, the first thing to do with to manage the risk is to create a risk plan, and you need to know first of all which are the risks. So because you cannot manage something that you don't expect, you cannot manage something is so the first thing to do is to take the pen, take the paper, and write down all the possible causes of a risk. Of like in this case, put hurricane, rain. There are no bad causes. All of them are good in order to map the risk. And this, on the other side, we can start to do the effects. So inability to acquire supplies, inability to communicate. Let's say there is a strike on the transport, on the transportation, the out route, whatever else. So this the effect, the cause will be the strike, and the effect will be you may risk not to have the goods on the table on the day of the wedding. Let's say if during the last session we spoke about the possibility to invite guests not only with the greeting cards but only via Facebook. Let's say that Facebook is down on that day, you may lose the possibility to invite your guests at the wedding. And some more, there are several possible causes and several possible effects. So what I would like you to do now, let's say, okay, one more, I would speak quickly about the about this diagram. So you can start to put together causes and effect on a diagram that is called interrelationship diagram, and start to link them with the arrows. So the causes and the effect will be interrelated by the arrows, and basically the wide number of arrows that is going out from a square will indicate root cause. So it is going to be the initial cause, and a large number of arrows that will arrive on the table on one of the square will indicate the main effect that we have to expect from this. So again, why we do this? Basically, because causes and effect, once we listed them all, then it's quite easy to give them a likelihood and an impact. What does it mean? Again, with the causes, we have, let's say, rain. We have historical data. We have histograms. We have documentation on it. So we can start to give a percentage. So if I get married in January, likelihood to have rain is going to be for sure higher than having rain in July, for example. Same thing for the consequences. So if I think about the consequences, I can also start to map them on the like an impact on the on my project. So by example, no, Chelyabinsk meteor. This is going to be a huge impact, but a very, very low possibility. Same for the coronavirus. Huge impact, but actually no one expected it. So in doing this, we can start also to map them on the probability impact matrix. So on the matrix, we can start to define the risk. And by doing this, we can also try to find out action to reduce the likelihood. And after the risk has happened, action to reduce the impact. What else can we say on this? I invite you also, in case, to check on the specific, because also the different industries, in this case, wedding, may have documentation. So you can check and look at the documentation also to have an idea of the probability and the impact. So we will start our first work group on Miro. And just keeping the wedding example as we did the last time, I will ask you, first of all, to identify all the risks, and then to start to do qualitative analysis. Okay, and as we did before, you start to do the causes, you start to put the effects, and then you start to define the probability of the impact and the probability of that the risk may happen. Once done this, we can start to think about the risk response. And risk response that, as you can see below, is to avoid, to mitigate, to transfer, and to accept. Means to avoid, you say, okay, I won't get married in January, I will do it in July. Mitigate, okay, I will, if it's gonna rain, I will try to find out a restaurant with a cover garden, that let's say winter garden, as you can see, or find out a way to have an open space, but repaid by the rain. Transfer, you may start to think about, okay, transfer maybe not in this case, but basically transfer is related to insurance. So what can happen if something happens? I can transfer my risk to an insurance, and eventually to accept, like they did on the Challenger disaster. They accepted the risk that sometimes you have to do it, and you have definitely to deal with the risk. Okay, can we start on Miro again? Oh, and I invite you to unmute your microphone, and I will let you play with my colleagues, that I will be happy to help you with this. So, okay, we done this, and let's start to think about, okay, how to manage the communication. I'm going to be fast on this part because for sure it's going to be developed in a better way by Kai in the next session. But anyway, you have to, during the work project, you have to communicate with the different actors of the project in a different way. And depending on the which is the actor in the project, you will have to define a proper method to communicate. By example, here on the center you have the wedding manager. Let's say that maybe weekly you will communicate with your sponsor. So on the status of the project. So, and the report is going to be quite short. I mean, you say, okay, we are here, we decide this, and we agreed on this. So it's going to be quite a short communication, a minute. Then it's different if you have to communicate to you. Sorry. Better. Okay. Then it's different if you have to communicate. Okay, sorry. If you have to communicate with your project team, okay, you will have to share clear instruction. So it's going to be a big amount of instruction detailing each task for each person. Same thing for the stakeholders, the priest. The priest is gonna just to communicate to confirm the date, and that's it, or provide documentation of the couple that has to be to get married. I don't know if it needs certificates of Christianism or whatever. And plus, you have to close contract with suppliers. So it's going to be a different and formal way. So let's say with the rental car or the restaurant or the whoever is providing the food, you have to close contract. So it's again a different way. It's one per time. So just a quick view on the communication that has anyway to be done during the whole project and with different way and with different address to different persons. So let's talk a little bit of quality. So we defined quality already in the previous session. Define quality is huge. On the quality, there is a wide literature, and on the right of the slide, you can see more or less a quick history about modern quality management. But actually, managing quality started a long time ago. The only, say, the best definition to me that is used even in the project management PM book, and actually makes sense, is related to, is coming from the quality guru Juran, that actually saying it's fitness for use and meeting or exceeding possibly customer expectation. What does it mean? Fitness for use means that actually the quality that you are delivering should be as per as designed. So if you if an article, if a product is meant to do something, actually it has to do something that you designed for it. And then once you, okay, let's say you properly project an article, something, you do it, but then on the other hand, it has to meet the customer expectation. You may project something unbelievable, but has no interest to the customer. So in this case, in this definition, both the product quality and the customer expectation are met. Personally, I will use the Juran method. Actually, I don't know if you, maybe it's quite common and famous by now, but since Juran Stewart, Potter Stewart was a judge, asked to define in the late 60s if, let's say, a picture was offensive or not. Basically, he was a judge, so it has nothing to do with the quality, but it's a good point. So basically, the question was, okay, can we use the First Amendment, so freedom of express yourself, or this has to be considered pornography, and so it should be removed from the vision of the public. So basically, he answered, I know it when I see it, and at that time I say, okay, and what I see is not, it is not. So this is known as the Stewart test, and it has spread even in different fields. And actually, because it embeds in itself, let's say, it's trying to what a definition, as a personal definition. So trying to define something for which rules or is difficult to define without personal feeling. So coming back on this, what I want to say with the I know it when I see it, actually it is embed yourself in the definition and embed the customer idea of the quality. So if we continue, so what is basically we are asked to do is to translate what is known as voice of the customer, that normally is ambiguous, is not clearly defined, to critical to quality features, so that are measurable and can be defined, and in case we go out of track, we can take action in order to bring back the quality desired, the quality produced as per quality desired. So how we do that? How can we translate the voice of the customer to critical to quality features? Well, initial way, but we have several tools for it, is the critical to quality tree. So we start with the feature asked by the customer. Basically, how would you get it? You can make survey, you can make quality management questions. So at the end of the day, you receive more or less an idea of what quality should be by the customer. Then it's up to you to translate it into real real KPI, I would say, real critical to quality factors. So what we start to do is to define drivers. In the example, I put a nice cafe experience. Nice cafe experience can be whatever. But if you go in a coffee shop, basically you start to think about what can drive me to a nice coffee experience. So this is an example. I put it, okay, service time, reasonable prices, and food quality. Then based on this, you can still think about, okay, service time. Which are the requirements to have a good service time? From the moment I sit to the moment they come to ask me what I want, let's say a quick response. And then at the end, all the waiting time before I sit and I receive what I ordered. And then once we have cleared these requirements, we can start to put some targets, let's say 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on. And so we can measure against it if we are doing well or not. So once I define the critical to quality, I can start to see if in my coffee shop, the response is quick enough or the waiting time is longer than expected. This actually open a lot of knowledge areas, and they are known as per Six Sigma. You know, I don't know if you are heard about this, but it's still a huge field of knowledge. But in any case, what I want you to remember about this discussion of today is how to translate Vogue, more or less not define features asked by the customer up to something that you can measure and put down in your project. And then you can eventually put upper bound, the lower bound, to see if the quality is within this range. So, and try to eliminate every cause of variation of quality from this. Okay, so one of the more known also tools in order to define quality is the Kino model, the Kano model. So we have here actually on the horizontal axis an aspect, let's say by a car horsepower, and on the vertical axis we measure how much the customer is affected, is delighted of this feature. So by doing this, we can define three different kind of possible result. So we have the basic features that actually normally are not even said by the customer. So let's say by if you think about a telephone should make phone call. Or if it's mobile phone, should be mobile, so should be light and somehow light, I mean, and with reasonable sizes. And the performance features, actually, what are the performance features? As we said before, this is linear. So if the basic features, the customer will not say anything, but will get angry if it doesn't find them. The performance features actually are the more the more we have, the better it is. So if you think about the PC, it's the storage space, I mean the hard disk, or if you think about a mobile phone or a camera, it's the quantity of megapixels. So it's linear. The more we have, the better it is. And then we have the delighted features. So it's the wow effect. So if we have it, the customer satisfaction won't be linear, but will increase immediately, exponentially. So in this case, I say, but it's personal. I mean, it's a flexible screen. It's going to be waterproof up to 20 meters, something like that. So by doing this, you can have a clear vision of the quality that you should project in your work. So to do how can we arrive to do this? We can use an affinity diagram. An affinity diagram is like before. You start to write down on the post-it each kind of quality feature you may have. So first of all, you put down in words whatever you need, and you start to speak each other and write down the different features. And then once you finish to write down the features, you can start to classify them. So and regroup per affinity, as the diagram name will lead to. So once this is very good because it's quite easy to be done. Again, please share your thought with others because it should be a chat. Let me see. Okay. And should be a brainstorm anyway. So you should start to think. And what we'll ask you to do is to yes, we have time for the. We can start to do it very quickly on Miro side and start to map the what we have just described very quickly. You find it on the chat. Okay, I will say that we can end here.
Perfect.
Okay. Thanks to you.
Maybe
Enjoyed. So to continue.
Yes, thank you everyone. Please, if you have some question, you can share your question in the chat, or if you want to share the question taking the floor is perfectly fine. We're a very small group, then we can answer. We are 5 PMI members here, then we can share with you our experience. Then please use this opportunity. Let's see 1 minute if one of you have some of the questions or something that you think that we need to review again. Please let us know. A couple of minutes in the chat, or take the floor, or raise the hand.
And if you think to leave the chat now, please don't forget to do the survey at the end. Yes. You can find the feedback form on the chat. At the end, few left. So
it's important. No, we already shared in the chat the link for a feedback form. It let us understand your needs, what you think, how can we improve these sessions. No, then it's important that you share what you're thinking. Very quickly, waiting for some of your questions. Thanks for the session. Next session, we will review again communication, leadership, and stakeholder management. No.
Okay. There is no answer, so it's a flat line from the. Okay. Can close here. Okay.
Ricardo, Patricia.
Yes.
Some
Thank you very
feedback.
much.